Hey everyone, Killian here again. This will be the third and probably final installment featuring my Nicks Waterworks BuilderPros. This is going to be focused on oiling and greasing, just general boot care and treatment. So I'll start off with a quick background on the products we're dealing with here. You've got your Obanoff's leather oil and Obanoff's heavy duty LP. And just for the record, if you get your products from Nicks, you can get this over here, Nicks Heavy Duty LP, and all it is rebranded Obanoffs. So use these interchangeably. It's literally the same product. So generally, for routine maintenance, your boots are looking dry, you want to give them something. I use this stuff here. It's the leather oil. And it's just that, it's an oil, it's running, soaks in really nice. And I don't actually use the heavy duty alpine except after a deep clean like you saw me do on these here, and then I just put it on the counter and the vamp for added water resistance on the lower part of the boot. The reason for that is, as you can see, it's thick, it's greasy. And if you over apply it, it just builds up and forms a gunky, cakey kind of layer in places, and it's just gross and doesn't do a whole lot. So use this sparingly. That'd be my recommendation. All right, so as we get into this, I realized I didn't show you my routine for the laces and the kilty in the washing video. So I wash the kilty, same as the rest of the boot, saddle soap, rinse it off, put it somewhere to dry, pretty straightforward. As for the laces, these are veg tan, they're pretty brittle honestly, so I don't actually soak these or get them wet if I don't have to. So what I'll do is I'll just take a microfiber cleaning cloth and just, pull the lace through it like this. And then when I get to oiling and conditioning the boot, just dab a bit of oil onto the cloth. Like so. And then just do the same thing. Gonna take your lace and just run it through that oil patch on the cloth. And that'll give it a bit of protection. Keep it nourished, keep it from drying out. But like I said, the laces are surprisingly brittle, so I don't recommend actually washing them and soaking them like you do the rest of the boot. Yeah, that's about all there is to that. All right, so moving on to actually oiling the boot. It's pretty straightforward. Got the bottle of Obanoff's oil. It's got this little dauber on here. Kind of looks like PVC glue and primer. And I'll usually start from the bottom, work my way up. And if it looks like it needs it, I'll give it a second coat. If not, then that's that for the oil. And like I said, if it's after a deep clean like these are, once that sets in a bit, I'll get my Obanoff's or Nicks heavy duty alpine and just put a coat of that on the vamp and the heel counters. Just dab it on, spread it around. And try not to go too heavy, so if it starts pooling or anything, you want to go back in there and spread that around. Just keep spreading it as long as you got product in this thing here. You can see these are soaking it in pretty eagerly. For tighter spots like this, what you can do is grab a Q-tip or just grab your cloth, bunch it up a bit, get that in there, just push it into the harder to reach spots like that. That's what I'll do. Get a bit more on here. So we got the vamp and toe pretty well covered. Gonna move around the back, get the heel counter. Like so. Yeah, this boot is soaking the oil up. I don't actually usually see that happen that dramatically. Once again though, don't go too heavy, so don't let it pile up or pool. Keep spreading it around. Get the whole boot, and then if you notice dry spots that look like they need touch-ups, then go back and do that. So that's what we'll do. Take my cloth again, kind of work it into this edge over here. And once again, this is a really nice feature of the Waterwork design. With the full wraparound stitching, you get this rigid sort of shelf around the back of the boot, and you don't have the soft leather midsole that tends to get scuffed up and eventually just caves in and traps dirt in this little crevice here. So really cool feature, just want to point that out. All right, got the bottom half of the boot. Moving on. Same thing on the uppers. Now try not to saturate the area around the eyelets and the hooks too much, because if you soften that up too much, or you might run the risk of these pulling out as you lace them up and put them under tension. At least that's what I've heard, so. I figure at the end of the day, though, it's 6 to 1, half a dozen of the other. Don't give it enough, it'll dry out and crack and pull out. Give it too much, or it'll soften up and pull out. So I'll just go along this seam over here, like so, get up to there. And then once again, you can take your rag, dab a bit on there, and then just kind of gently get the surface of the leather between the hooks and eyelets, like so. Now, as for how often you should do this, that's entirely subjective. It depends on the climate where you're at, the environment you work in, how often you wear the boots. Back in Southern California, where it goes from warm and dry to hot and dry for 8-9 months out of the year. I mean, I'd oil my boots 2-3 times a month, sometimes during triple-digit heat waves in August and September. It'd be sometimes twice a week. I mean, they would just get dried out. And you usually see when it's time for that to happen, so as you can see, like these wrinkles and stuff here, those will become more pronounced, kind of start to open up, look like cracks. If you see anything that looks like cracking, it's time to condition the boot. Once again, it really depends on the environment you're in. All right, that is it for the oil. Toe soaked it in pretty good. Still a bit soaking in on the heel counter over here. It feels slightly mushy and kind of spongy to the touch, so I'm going to call that good. Not going to overdo it with the oil. And before I move on to the heavy duty LP, one thing I just want to point out is, and this is unique to the black weather shield leather, This stuff almost takes a shine on its own. Haven't seen this on any other boots, from Nicks at least. I feel like with very, very minimal effort, you could get a dang near like a mirror shine on these. So just throwing that out there, if that's a look you're into, or if it's something you need for, you know, uniform requirements at work, you know, black weather shield might be the ticket for you. All right, that is that. You know, I'm still gonna get in here, get the tongue a bit. Once again, it's a place I don't usually, or make sure I don't go overboard, just because it doesn't get a whole lot of circulation and ventilation, so you don't want to overdo it, oversaturate it. But yeah, I'll just put a dab in there, get the tongue a bit. It does get bunched up and wrinkled and stuff a lot, so want to make sure the leather doesn't start to crack or anything. That looks pretty good. Again, take my rag, get down in that crevice there, wipe up any excess, kind of spread it around a bit. And there we are. All right, moving on to the grease, the heavy duty LT. I've heard of people getting this stuff hot, you know, heating it up, melting it, and basically hot stuffing the boot with it. Never actually put that much effort into it, although I might put more effort into it in the long run doing it this way. But just get some on my finger like this. Just kind of smear it on there, and you know, just use friction and body heat to work it into the boot. This stuff smells amazing, by the way. It's like beeswax with a little hint of something else I can't put my finger on, but just a really nice smell. Once again, this stuff does kind of solidify and build up and get gunky and cakey very easily, so we're just doing the lower half of the boot. It's purely for added water resistance, which these boots don't need half as much as your typical P&W boot leather. Just go along the welt over here. Like so. Work it in there. Just go over the stitch rows too, because it's a pretty common ingress point for water. All right, that is it for the toe and the vamp. Same deal going around back. Just rub it in with your fingertips. It'll heat up enough to liquefy a bit and seep in. Same thing, special attention to the stitch row, just because, I mean, that is a bunch of little holes in the boot, so give that all the protection it can get. Work it into the stitch going around back. All right, and that's about it. Try not to forget the kilty this time, so there's that. And I'm just gonna do a coat of oil on this. No need for the heavy grease. Same as before, dab it on, spread it around. And since this gets direct exposure to the elements, I'm just gonna flip it around, get the back side of it too. You can see the rough out sucks it up a lot faster than the smooth side does, just because you got all that surface area with the exposed fibers. It's like a bunch of little wicks and it just takes it right in. Look at that. Hoping to do a full-length video feature for you guys on smooth versus rough out, and you know, maybe compare some Nicks leather options in the future. That's definitely on my radar. I see that come up a lot on P&W Boot social media. Should I do smooth or rough out, or the max support, or 1964 leather? I happen to have both, so when I get a chance, I'll get my other boots out and take a look at it with you guys. All right, got the kilty done, front and back. And that concludes my presentation here. Got her boot, got her kilty. Just go ahead and lace it up for you guys. So come in through the top of the kilty, go underneath, and back out the top again. Find your halfway point. I think that's right over here. It's gonna go on the underside of the kilty like so. Not quite the halfway point. Pull a bit more out this way. All right, almost there, I think. That's good enough. Looks like equal lengths on both sides. Sometimes it's easier to actually do this when the boot's on your foot, but for the sake of getting this on video and getting a good camera angle, I'm just gonna do it right now, right here. Try to keep it nice and tidy, make sure there's no twists in the laces when I first lace them up. All right, there we go.